Greetings guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. For those of you that are new here, I am a professional intuitive empath and we're going to jump right into it. One of the things that's been on my heart is to talk about our intuition versus our insecurities. And when we are re-emerging and re-entering back into the realm of any kind of connection, whether it's platonic, romantic, or even if it's like entering back into the workspace after taking time away from doing that, it is very, very easy to be triggered and very properly triggered because we have now amassed this incredible database of information and we now understand when things are dangerous or when they aren't, or when people mean us well or when they don't. And when you're getting into taking back your personal power and moving into the space of reconnection, you will find yourself kind of teetering between what is the truth and what is not the truth of a situation. And so I just want to leave you this quick message today of really getting into understanding what is your intuition versus what is your insecurity, because we will have insecurities. It doesn't matter how healed you are, it doesn't matter how long you're on this earth, it doesn't matter how much spiritual work you do, you will have insecurities. But what you're tasked to do and challenged to do is figure out where those insecurities end and you begin. And if it's your intuition giving you a proper heads up, a red flag to let you know that something is off, okay? So that's the thing that you need to ask yourself. Now, our insecurities will sometimes be disguised as that, but I don't want to confuse you, because your intuition is something that's so very solid, so very felt in your sacral, and it is so centered, so you will know if you're getting a weird vibe. Now I want you guys to do a little exercise with me. I want you to think about a relationship that went belly up, not even the most toxic one, right? We all have that one fresh at our mind, but I want you to think about maybe a connection, a friendship. I want you to think about actually something platonic, okay? So instead of it being romantic, because that can be often the height of a lot of our focus, I want you to think about something that was a platonic friendship where you guys just didn't jibe, and you knew pretty soon into it that the person was off for whatever reasons that they were off. And I want you to think about that first 6 weeks. The angels say that within the first 6 weeks, you heard something, heard your intuition telling you that something was off, or they treated you a way that you didn't like or that didn't agree with your soul. And you still stayed in the connection because you overrode it. Now, we are socialized as women specifically to be incredibly forgiving and incredibly caring and incredibly kind. And so when we're doing that, what we're doing is overriding the people. Well, we are people pleasing and we're overriding our intuition. And that is something that we can be prone to do. And when we do that overriding of our intuition, we will miss out on those very important context clues. In Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Tipping Point, he talks about the fact that we all have this primal discernment where we immediately are assessing things within milliseconds. Robert Greene, who has written The 48 Laws of Power amongst a pantheon of other books, talks about us accessing and understanding when undesirable people are in our midst. And so those decisions are made, both that tipping point perspective and understanding undesirable people. These are assessments that are made within milliseconds of meeting someone. You know if you trust them, you know if you can, you know if you should or shouldn't. Now, we will override because of attraction, even if it's platonic. Let's say this is just a really fanciful friend and you're really into them. We all have had women crush Wednesday, right? And not anything sexual, but just you like a person, or they're funny, or they said something that made you feel validated or special. So you will give them a heaping helping of grace where your intuition is telling you to run. Now, when we're getting into new connections, so that's your one example. Reflect back on that relationship, that friendship, very specifically make it platonic, and think about how you knew that someone was off. How you knew, with a capital No, that someone was off. Does that make sense? And you still overrode it. And then later, that same behavior showed itself to you as you move forward. It never fails, okay? So that part. Then the next thing is, I want you to think about a time when you have been in a new connection, maybe a new friendship, and because of maybe the way that you were treated in past ones, insecurities popped up to you and you were dealing with that. And so instead of judging the situation fairly, maybe, you definitely leaned heavily into the triggering that you had. We all have it. And I recently came into a situation where I ran into my triggering and my insecurities and my intuition. And it was this great confluence. It was like the place where the oceans meet, you know? And I was like, okay, I've got to figure out what is what. And my default when feeling that way is to shut down, like many of us. Even though I'm a communicator for a living, when I feel like I have done something or I'm looking at something repeatedly and it doesn't feel right to me, even if there's a clear explanation or there's a solution that can be reached, I know myself, I can definitely be like, oh no, batten down the hatches. And that's why I wanted to bring this message to you, because I noticed that there are patterns in our collective that we're often going through similar things. And a lot of us are in a season of reemergence back into connection with people after shutting down a lot of connections with people, platonic, romantic, or otherwise, right? And so you will have to use your discernment. And that dark night of the soul with the very toxic person that comes to mind right away was necessary to get you to go back out and reemerge into the world and play, and to start to understand that you are very powerful, but you are very powerfully equipped with understanding who means well for you and who doesn't. Okay? So that's something that I want you guys to pay attention to. Now, here's the thing about that. It will be really tempting to burn everything down when you feel threatened, okay? But that is not why we're here. Very few of us have it in our charts that we're supposed to be some hermit on some island by ourselves. You know, the Bible even talks about no man being an island. A lot of religious texts talk about the fact that we need community. Now, I just happen to have it in my personal chart, the way my chart's set up, that community matters a great deal to me. However, my quiet time alone and decompressing matters a lot to me too, a lot more than I realized when I was younger. And so now that I really know myself a lot better, as we all come to this part of our journey where we really get to know and understand ourselves, I realize that I actually need some decompression and downtime, but I thrive with community as well. And so I've had to figure out what the happy medium and the balance is for that. It's not just to immerse yourself headlong. You have to figure out who you are, where you end, and where other people begin, especially as empaths and earth angels. We so often give so much of ourselves away, and for so many years, because we have these healing modalities, people will gravitate to us in the grocery store, people will come up to us outside. And so if that's part of your life, like it's very much a part of mine, you have to have your downtime, your quiet time, and your rest time. Even if you're a full extrovert, you will need to kind of like recenter who you are, okay? In any case, I want you guys to understand that your insecurities and your intuition can sometimes have this interesting interplay where you won't be able to tell. And that's why it's important for you to get really grounded with who you are, because I have seen clients push away relationships because they were triggered. I have pushed away relationships because I was triggered. Because I thought, oh my gosh, this feels very similar to my fill in the blank, or to that one experience with that one person back in whenever, right? How many of us can relate to that? But the thing about it is that yes, that may be a reality that happened to you, but you are not supposed to be here by yourself. And the very powerful message I have for you in this season is that we heal inside of relationships. The same way that we were broken in a lot of our relationships, the same way that the trust was distorted, the same way that we didn't have our needs met, the same way that we weren't honored, the same way that we weren't nurtured, the same way we weren't, caressed, loved, taken care of emotionally, energetically, physically, actually. That is the same way that you will heal. So the very thing that you thought, I could never extract this from another human and I don't even want to try, keep living. And I promise you, that in the sweet by and by, there will be another human that's by your side that helps you to balance some of those things out. I may not do everything, and everybody is not the end all be all. I think that's one of the very big takeaways from our journey, is that you cannot get everything from everyone. You can get a lot of things from someone, but the thing that you need to get from the person that matters most is yourself. So are you grounded? Are you comfortable in yourself? Are you comfortable being by yourself? Are you done with a lot of cycles of codependency? Have you broken that? Can you be self-sufficient? And I will tell you the answer, because you're like, well, how do I know, Mona? Well, you know, if you have spent some time by yourself, if you didn't run headlong into the next relationship, if you were not avariciously searching for it, if you were willing to date, connect, refriend, if it's platonic for you, because I was working with a client earlier today who was just really looking for friendship again after being really hurt with a best friend situation. You know, she believe it's Judas's Just Desserts or something. There was a was it Judas Just Desserts? No, it's a bestie breakup. One of the readings I have on my website, she booked me for, and it was the bestie breakup. And so we were walking through that, and that's one of the things that is so hard. We just went through a major retrograde where every single person was challenged in their relationships, including me. In every relationship I had, I was challenged in the last 6 weeks for sure. And I had to really assess, and I had to communicate, and I had to do all the things I teach you guys. So walk it like I talk it for sure. I don't get to come here and talk to you if I'm not doing my work, and I certainly had to do my work in the last few weeks. But what I'm going to tell you is this: that bestie breakup is a really tough thing, and that's why I said I really want us to focus on the platonic relationship, because the bestie breakup is so heart-wrenching. And now, after she had the bestie breakup, she is, definitely in the market for a new friendship after she healed, and we went through a lot of the things and whatever. And I'm not saying that all happened in one session. She's been going through this for a while, but what I'm going to tell you is that she's triggered as new people start to come to her, because she's like, God, this feels like love, but it also feels like my exy, right? And that's an interesting juxtaposition. It's an interesting place that we'll all find ourselves in. Even if it's a romantic relationship with you, I guarantee you that when you start dating again after being hermited, after going through narcissistic abuse, that anything that someone does is going to be a flag to you. I joke with one of my clients about that. When it's time for her to usher back into that space. And so I will tell you, you can't push everybody away. Or, I'll tell you this, you can. And then you miss out on what may be God's plan. And I know a lot of you are like, well, Monette, God's plan is not for me to be raked over the coals and messed over and whatever. No, it's not. We're not supposed to live in some dystopian, emotional place for the rest of our life. No. And that's why you need to figure out where your intuition is, or if you're letting insecurities fester and grow. We have both, and we're human. We don't get to escape it. None of us are some paragons that are free of all insecurities, and none of us are some wise oracles that are just all beautiful, perfect intuition. We are a confluence of the two. But what we can do as we move forward is really sit with ourselves and say, can you trust this person? Do they mean well to you? Yeah? And if you can answer that question with a quick answers, with quick energy, then you are going to be able to put yourself into a new connection where you can actually heal. People will be dispatched into you. After, guys, excuse me, pardon me. After I went through a really hard dark night of the soul several years ago, I had a bestie that was dispatched in for me. Now, she came in way before it happened because my angels knew that I would struggle with insecurity versus intuition. And there was a point in our connection where I really did try to push her away, and she called me on it. Some of my favorite people in my life have the ability to call me on my shit. And it's not many people that do. And it's not to say that I'm uncallable. It is to say that it takes a definite assignment. They are dispatched. I definitely know when I'm in the midst of someone who is sent to me to help me elevate and to do my work. You hear how my throat is starting to get a little scratchy there? I have no issues communicating, but there are moments when I do, okay? Meaning my natural proclivity is to communicate. But when I am triggered and my insecurities are taking over, did you hear how that happened? I didn't do that on purpose. that is a real thing. And so and my bestie called me out on my bullshit, and she said, "Sweetie, I don't know where you think you're sending me to. I'm not going anywhere." And sometimes you need that. You know, sometimes you do want someone to go somewhere, but I absolutely did not want her to go anywhere. I value her immensely, and I treasure that connection and relationship. But there was a point several years ago where I just didn't have the emotional bandwidth, and I felt really triggered. And even if she wasn't meaning to do things that were similar, things were being done, meaning that I was in my own insecurities, okay? That was what that was. My intuition wasn't heightened or sharpened. It was very dull because I was very sensitive and very hurt and wounded. And when you're coming from a very wounded place, you will not have clarity. You will just protect yourself so completely. Fight or flight is real. Survival of the fittest is real. And until you have fully healed, that intuition doesn't sharpen as much. So I met her, well, when we started to really, you guys have seen, if you guys have seen the video, there's a video up where we talk about how we connected and courted, if you will, and all of that stuff. So it took us years. We didn't jump into anything. That's another thing, guys. A lot of you guys that have come from other relationships or have seen other people jump immediately into relationships after you, whether it was friendships or loverships, depending on what you got out of, that was toxic. It's because they're codependent. And it's ironic because they were projecting that codependency on you. It doesn't mean that you weren't. Hello, empath. We be codependent. It's something we do. However, what I'm going to tell you is that I'm so proud of you. Can I say I'm so proud of you? I'm so proud of you because we did our real work. We did the thing that was really hard to do. It was 1616 on the clock. Someone look up that angel number, a little message there for you. We did our work. We did what was really hard to do, which was to be by ourselves for a while. Anyway, in that moment when my bestie held me accountable and said, I'm not going anywhere. I've never loved somebody more. Those are the moments where I really find that I'm galvanized to a person when they are willing to fight for my relationship. And I don't do what a lot of the narcissists did to us, which is like put people in position to have to fight. I usually find myself flighting. And then I see that a person that loves me, that's dispatched, an earth angel, a friend, a connection, will fight in that moment. It's not something I do on purpose. A lot of us were triggered and gaslit that way. And so I respect it because I never want to put somebody in that position. And usually I don't even realize that I'm doing what I'm doing until someone looks at me with their soul to my soul and says, hey, what's happening here? Where are you? Where are you going? What are we doing? What is happening? So I appreciated that immensely because that's the way that I have fought for other relationships. And so that's the thing that I need you guys to see the circular pattern of. The way that I fought for other relationships, those people did not fight for me that way. But the person that I absolutely love, respect, and will devote a great deal of my time and energy to did. Excuse me, pardon me. And she is worthy of that. You know? She did when I didn't even know I had to ask for it. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know that I was so hurt, you know? And so that's something that you need to understand. The same way that you were hurt in relationships is the same way that you will heal. And so I have been that friendship wound has been thoroughly healed. It doesn't mean everything is perfect in any connection, even amongst a healing or even after healing. But what it does mean is that it's a connection that I know I invest into and that is worthy of my time. My intuition says it is fine when my insecurity says that I should dash and dash, or dine and dash, dash and dine, like I should get the heck out of there. Your insecurity will say run, and that will be coming from a wounded space. Your intuition will say there is work to be done. And so I don't want you guys to forfeit what is the most important and delicious part. If you went through the trenches, and if you went through the rejection, and if you went through the hurt, and if you went through the pain, what makes you think you do not get to have a gain? That you do not have to have pleasure? That you do not, like you see I'm wearing orange today for sacral. Do you not think that you deserve to be loved? Do you not think that you deserve to have someone care about your connection and value your time and realize what you bring to the table? You absolutely do. And I promise you that if you love yourself, when you're ready, that manifestation will come through. Your intuition will be true, and you will have a relationship that heals you. Because what relationships are mirrors. It's where we get to face off with one another. Now, you have seen the dark side of the reflection. You've seen the negativity of it. And I invite you that are ready to walk into the next space where it is light and beautiful refractions, and it's those prisms, right? I have a prism that I have juxtaposed in my house just so that when the light hits it, it sends rainbows throughout my home. And I had a soulmate that did that too, and I loved him for that. And so it makes me feel close to him whenever I see those prisms bounce all over the walls. But what I will tell you is that you have this kaleidoscope of beautiful opportunities and beautiful connections to heal inside of. Just as badly as you will hurt, will be as sweetly as you are loved. If you want to invite that, we do have free will, and you can push it away. Those insecurities will happily help you push it away. When the time is right, for the clients that I work with, I am happy and honored to walk you through the invitation of people that want to love you. But that means that you have to set that first. It doesn't matter how much work I do with you, you have to be ready. Because until I was ready, those dreams were not coming true. And then as soon as I was, then the floodgates opened. And they were still vetting, but people were dispatched. And I had to figure out what feels right to me. And my insecurities and my intuitions paid off absolutely amazingly both times. There were times where people were dispatched, because we get to taste from the smorgasbord, and they were absolutely not a right fit for me. They were not healthy, they didn't mean me well, and so I had to use my discernment, and that tipping point that I spoke about with Malcolm Gladwell came into play, where I remembered being triggered pretty immediately upon them being in my life, and it wasn't me reading it wrong, no matter what they would want to tell me about how I should have been reading it right. I got it. But it saved me. So you don't have to accept every relationship that comes in. If you have new people that are wanting to court or date you, everyone is not your person. If you have new friendships that you're getting into, everyone's not going to be an emotional resonance to you. But a good relationship, you're going to get better and better and better. You're going to volley that back and forth. You guys are going to elevate and evolve together, and it's going to go up, up, up. You guys have been in karmic relationships where it's gone down, down, down. Yeah? So when it's good, it goes up, up, up. And you guys grow and grow. 22 on the clock right now. I love it. That is the angel number for partnership of any kind. Romantic, platonic, you name it. Look it up and read it and get your message today. But you can go in any kind of way, my loves. But if you are with the right connection, it will be evolution, evolution, evolution. I enjoy connections with people that make me better. You make me better. Not in a codependent, Jerry Maguire, you complete me. And I worked really hard on completing a lot of me. I'm always a work in progress, so there is no full completion in totality. However, there is a more solid whole me that I bring into new connections. I have something to offer. I bring something to the table, and I expect for someone to do the same for me. And it doesn't mean they have to do it to the same caliber or degree that I do. It means that my soul needs to be delighted, though. And it doesn't mean that I'm like, dance. They don't have to prove anything to me. If someone has done their work, they will delight your soul, and you will find an emotional resonance with them. Them existing will be delightful. I'm thinking of a sweet friend who will be doing some wonderful grounding work with coming up here shortly. So people have done their own work, and then you figure out what your vibe and your tribe is, guys, and use your intuition and set boundaries. All of that's fine and fair. And if those insecurities creep in there, ask yourself even what information is true in that. What can you extract that is true? Yeah? What is the truth for you? You're the only one who can answer it. But those two things will get mixed. But it's not so that you stay forever alone. It is so that you can do some transits and you can grow through whatever in the past has deeply wounded you. Because you deserve love in this realm, in this time, on this earth plane, right now. Right now. In the Pentecostal church, when the blessings are coming in, they say, get ready. Because something is entering in. You deserve that right now. You don't need to wait 25 years. You can heal. Now healing takes time, okay? Love takes time. But healing takes time too. Nothing is instantaneous. I've really been exploring that lately. What is love? Not just baby don't hurt me. We already went through that part. But what does it mean to really love someone? How do you know you love someone? How do you know you want to be in connection with someone? How do you know someone's a good friend to you? How do you know? And you don't know until you've been put through some tests. A wise friend was sharing that observation that they had recently come across lately. Flowers to her for that. So you don't know until you've been put through some tests. I think she was talking about the artist Jendea, and he was saying that until you've had like 12 tests, he was talking about romantic love, you don't know that you really love somebody. Like, can you be around the person? Can you spend time with them? Like whether it's living with them or Airbnb with them or being in a hotel for the weekend. Are you challenged? What happens when they're tense? What happens when they're sick? All of these things. And the same is true for your platonic connections. So if you're not willing to let someone get that close to you, then maybe you're not ready for a relationship, and that's okay. But if you are, then there is work to do. And here's the payoff of it. It's not just that you can get hurt again. Because a lot of us, when we're really wounded and triggered, will think, oh God, I'm just going to open myself up for more BS and effery. No. It's so that you can elevate, because someone that is dispatched to you will have new ways to sink in with you. And they will show you new things about yourself. And they will make you elevate and be greater. And that's really amazing for your emotional and mental health. But you get to discern whether that's true. A lot of people will say what they are. And we are used to narcissistic love bombing, yes. But I'm watching what people do. I'm watching how they treat me. I'm watching how they handle me in a crisis, whether it is my own or theirs. I'm watching how we do the repairs. Make sense? And that is where I find the most delicious part of relationship. Yes, I have talked about my bestieship and talked about the amazing highs that it has provided me. But when we've had to do trench work, and we have, that's when I really love her so completely. Not because we're in the dregs and the drama or any of the trauma bonding or familiarity. We don't do that. But it's because I value someone who knows how to work through whatever the high is or the low too. And that's where I think relationships are amazing and delicious, where they acquire a patina, where they become weathered in the best way. A friend of mine used to collect Louis Vuitton bags, and she would always be teaching me about how to tell the difference about what was real and what was fake. She could spot them within 20 seconds. She was great at that. And so she was a Taurus, and Tauruses love their possessions, so she really cared about making sure that her stuff was authentic. And she said, it's all in the handles. And I think that's the message I'll leave you with today. It's all in the handles. She said, when a Louis Vuitton bag is real because it's made of leather, the oils from our hand will patina or stain the leather. So it goes from being this very bright kind of brown to this kind of supple, weathered kind of leathery look. And you can tell. And now I can tell too, even though that's not my thing particularly. When I'm in an airport, as I so often am as of late, I can see whose Louis is real or who is fake by the way that it is handled. A relationship, you can tell if it's going to stand the test of time, if it is a superficial relationship or if it is divine by the way it is handled. Come on, angels, will they give you a word? That's not me, y'all. That is them, and I love it when they do it by the way it is handled. People have mishandled us, yes? You can tap into that memory bank. You have seen how those insecurities got developed with some of those people that did not handle us well. They were not the real thing. But the people that handle us and spend time with us and touch us again and again, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, actually, physically, those are the relationships that are meant to be, that stand the test of time. And that Louis bag doesn't depreciate. With that patina, yes, you can tell that it is real or it is fake, but it is highly valued when you see that it has that patina because of the way that it's been handled. And with care from my Taurus friend, absolutely. But it's an inevitable part of the process. Nothing stays brand new. And I gotta tell you, I don't like things that are always brand new. I like things that have stood the test of time. I like things that are divine. I like things that have been handled with care. With care. As I handle you, you handle me there. And that's what I want you guys to welcome in this next season of your life. After you've been through this dark night of the soul and you've done the healing, look for a situation, look for a connection, a friendship, or whatever. And when I say look, meaning be examining what is presented, right? We're not chasing, we're attracting, all of us. And that's interesting, right? If we're not chasing, we're attracting, how does that happen? You'll be surprised that when you are ready, how people are dispatched in. There is no chasing necessarily attracting. It doesn't mean that each one of us won't assume different roles or be different at different times. In that case with my bestie, where I talked about me running, and that's the only time that I've been a runner in our connection, she didn't chase me, but she stood her ground and said, I love our connection, and I'm going to hold you down because I can tell you're skittish right now and you're hurt, and it has nothing to do with me. See, she was operating out of her intuition, not her insecurities, because my behavior very well could have triggered her insecurities, but she was solid. And so that's what I'm going to speak over you as we leave today. I'm going to ask that connections that are solid in their own emotional and personal space and their own faith gravitate to you, because there is nothing more amazing than having someone who sees you and knows you even when you can't see or know you. And that's the beautiful work that we have yet to do in the other side of healing, when actual relationship is attracted to you. You get to decide with your throat chakra, with your third eye, with your heart, with your sacral, with your solar plexus, with your root chakra. You get to decide if you want to welcome in connection again. And that will be something that is your free will. But before you decide, I'm just going to continue to enjoy the bitter pill that has become my life in those dark nights of the soul. I'm going to ask you to trust that you deserve to let go and to know that your heart should heal, and that in new connections that value you, that are your vibe, you can heal. Healing is real. I'm guided right now to do a tuning fork for you. It is the heart chakra. Can you guys see that here? Now, I don't know how this is going to sound. It's like I can't hear it. Okay, I'm going to put it up to the phone. When I do it, it's not loud. It's not like a high-pitched sound. But I want to heal our heart chakra. For those of us that have been broken down by the towers of life. For those of us that have had emotional, mental warfare and strife. Maybe physical, maybe energetic, maybe spiritual warfare of the worst kinds. I want to ask that we get back into the vibration that is divine. This is the color green. You can't see it in my magical lights tonight. But it is the color green for healing and heart chakra. So I'm going to ring this. I'm gonna wand it over the phone, and I hope so heads up if you're wearing headsets or earphones or Bluetooths or whatever, pull those out. Maybe leave them in if it's not too loud. So let's see. Angels, we're asking that you clear up whatever blockages are in the heart. If they are welcoming in love and ready for love and ready for connection and healing and reflection and all the juicy things that happen in a proper connection, then let this resonate. The fastest way into connection and relationship is gratitude. I have been in the gratitude mood as of late. I've been feeling so very grateful after a long season and a lot of battles. And I'm so grateful to not have to be in those places. This doesn't mean that everything is peachy keen every day. But it means that I am vibrating in alignment in the evolutionary way, for sure. And so I'm going to do one more ring for you. And I want you to think, as you are listening to this tonality, of the things that you are grateful for. Even if you are not in a platonic connection or a romantic connection and you can't see one in store, I want you to think of the reasons that you would be grateful for, because that is really how we attract from a space of gratitude. So good sharing energy with you guys today. Come back and join me next time, and we'll continue to evolve together.